don't call out Froch, mate. Like, Froch is like, the Cobra's still an animal. Don't worry about that. And like, when he done that.
Pro boxing fans, we're here in London. With me, Spencer Oliver. Spencer, always good seeing you, mate. You got a smile on your face on this. What day is it today? Wednesday morning.
It's Wednesday, mate. It's bad blood. Fabio Wardley versus Frazer Clarke. Listen, I got a smile on my face because of the conversation we just had before that. But that's a conversation probably for me and you.
Yeah, let's keep that one off camera. Let's talk about this fight. Big Giants, man. This fight was supposed to happen a while ago. Obviously, we know what happened in regards to that situation.
Yeah.
Frazer Clarke's got a bit more experience, like Ben wanted him to have. He goes into this fight a bit more prepared. Fabio Wardley coming off a good win against David Adelaide in Saudi Arabia. Just give me your thoughts about this fight.
Listen, it's a great fight. It's a great fight. You know, Fabio Wardley's proven, isn't he? And, you know, we've seen that. And that was a brilliant win against David Adelaide, by the way. You know, he showed us that he's got a lot more to his game. And with Frazer Clarke, I mean, look, 8 fights, fighting in his 9th fight for the British title. If he wins the British title, he becomes the quickest ever heavyweight British champion. So that's the magnitude of the fight for Frazer. You know, we know he's got an extensive amateur career, you know, and he's going, you know, he's getting his opportunity. It's a great fight, man. It really is. Like, it's one of those fights that, you know, I think it's a coming of age fight for Frazer Clarke. This is the fight Fabio Wardley's proven, you know, and he's silenced a lot of doubters as well, you know, people that didn't believe that he could actually do that with, you know, with his background for, you know, white collar into professional boxing. Now 17 fights, 17 wins, 16 KOs, but beat some good people along the way. Nathan Gorman was a great victory, you know, and like I say, Adelaide last time out. So yeah, I'm liking this fight, man. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. It's like, now we look at it and you go, Frazer Clarke has to up his game. You know, you're looking at his performances and you go like, you're looking at the performance issues like Marius Wack and stuff like that, where you go, he's a little bit one-paced, and he has to raise his game against Wardley. And this is the fight that we find out whether he can actually do that.
I do want to talk about Wardley, actually. You did mention it there. He has come off a couple of good wins, but just talking about that tag that he's had, you know, this white-collar fighter, he's way past that now. We've seen the performance that he's puts in. How much do you rate Fabio Wardley, and what do you think he can achieve after this fight if he does beat Clarke?
Listen, I rate him a lot. I rate him a lot, man. Like, forget all that no amateur pedigree and all of that sort of stuff. Like, this guy has developed as a professional, and now, you know, he's turned into a good British champion. You know, I think that, you know, we see him move on to European honours, and let's see where he goes from there. But he's a good fighter, man. Really good fighter, and I think that he's improving all the time. You know, like when these tests are put in front of him, he's coming through them with flying colours. You know, and I think that's important. His confidence has grown since becoming a champion, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Like I say, like this is a big fight for both guys, because again we find out a lot more about both guys and where they're at and where they're sat. Like, I think that, speaking to Frazer Clarke, you know, he recognises, look, it's a must-win fight for me here. It's not about going back, rebuilding and coming back again. You know, if you get beat at British title level, you sort of found your level. It's a fight that he needs to come through. So he does recognise that, and it's a fight that he's looking forward to. And like Wardley's, you know, the same as him, man. He's full of confidence. You know, like Fabio's one of those guys that's sort of fed off people doubting him. You know, him being the underdog, etc. And he's come through with flying colours, and that, like I say, you know, he's earned his stripes. It's a good fight, man. I really like it.
Do you want to talk about another boxer fighting Adam Azim? We've seen the news break out today that the EBU have awarded purse bids for him against Dalton Smith. It's a fight that a lot of people have called for in the past. Talk to me about timing, though. For Adam, we know that obviously he came off an injury. He's picked up the European last time around a couple of days ago, defended his belt. Dalton Smith, I would say, is probably the more experienced in regards to the professional side of things. Sure. What do you think happens in this fight?
It's a great fight. I mean, I know it's gone to purse bids. It'd be interesting to see who wins them, by the way. Eddie's obviously going to, whoever wins that purse bid is going to have deep pockets, because I think that Eddie will bid strongly for that. But obviously Ben Shalom and Boxer will also want that fight as well. You know, and I think it's a great fight. British, Commonwealth, European titles on the line. I think Adam Azim last time against Enoch Poulsen, even though he won that fight with Poulsen dislocating his shoulder in the 5th round there, Azim looks a little bit flat in that fight, like a little bit, you know, he didn't look himself. It was not the best performance from him. Dalton Smith's a great fighter, you know, a very, very good fighter as well. I like that fight a lot, man, and I think they're the fights that should be happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, before these guys are moving on to world honours, because I think they're both world-class fighters, these are the fights that they should be having. I think this is good for both of them. So let's hope we get it. Let's hope we get it, because it'd be interesting to see how this one plays out. But it's a great fight.
In regards to Adam, you spoke about his last performance being flat. What do you put that down to? Because we know that Adam's got fast hands. We haven't seen much combination punching since, I think, the Ryland Charlton fight. What do you make that down to? He has suffered a hand injury in the meantime. Is there anything that you know? What do you put that down to?
No, I don't think it's down to any sort of injuries or whatever. It's like, you know, look, a fighter, when he boxes, like, you know what I mean, it doesn't matter all the training you do and you think you get it right. Sometimes it just, on the night, you got to push it and it just doesn't happen. I think he just had one of those nights against Paulson where, like I say, for me it was a below par performance from him, because I know what he can do, you know, and we've seen that in the past. But like, look, as you're stepping up the levels, obviously the opponents get harder and they get trickier and they can take the power as well. So, you know, it's all about Adam now. You know, what's he had, 11 fights now? It's like he's at that stage of his career where he needs to learn. He's at that level where you can't rush him too much. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas you say Dalton Smith, sort of like he's got a bit more experience because he's developed a little bit more. That's an interesting fight, man. But like, yeah, I think for Adam Azim, there's been a lot of hype around him and whatnot, and there's a lot of expectation from him as well. So when he doesn't perform to the highest of his ability, then obviously the criticism will come out. But it's just one of those things, man. I think it's it's a fight that I would like to see, and I would like to see that now. And it'd be interesting to see if it happens.
For sure, both very, very talented fighters. I do want to talk about Saturday night, and not the fight that we covered in the UK. I do want to talk about Connor Benn fighting in the States. A lot has been made of that. You know, Peter Dobson, it looks like, you know, he came to fight. A lot of people saying, listen, Connor should have put him away, but it didn't happen. What do you make of now these fighters like him and Gervonta Tank Davis having a back and forth, Devin Haney and him having a back and forth? What do you make of that?
Fights are made online, a lot of these fights these days, aren't they? Like, you know what I mean? Like, the back and forths and whatnot creates the interest, and that's the world that we live in. If you're going on, you know, like, ability and the right to earn your stripes and everything else, he's not there yet. Do you know what I mean? Beating Peter Dobson doesn't give you the right to fight a Devin Haney or Gervonta Davis. I think you've still got to be proven at world level. You know, like, and Peter Dobson, no disrespect to him, what was he, 16-0, something like that, but never boxed at any sort of level. It was a good fight, to be fair. It was a good fight. I enjoyed it. It was one of those where Pete Dobson was very competitive. You know what I mean? And he pushed Connor a couple of times. Connor was winning the rounds, but he pushed Connor a couple of times. You know my thoughts on it with Connor and whatnot, and, you know, with this whole cloud still hanging over him with the proving his name and whatnot. So let's just hope that he gets that over the line, and then we can see if he can step up into these, you know, fights. But I don't think about fighting Devin Haney or Gervonta Davis just now, because, you know, you need to prove yourself a little bit more on that world stage. I think, like, I wouldn't go into a fight like that right now.
What have you made of Connor since he's come back after you know, being out of the ring for so long? He's had a couple of fights now. A lot of people are saying, listen, maybe that power is not there no more. What do you make of it?
What do you think?
I'm asking the questions, mate.
I know. Well, listen, I think the proof's in the pudding. You know, he's had 2 fights, 2 distance wins. It is what it is. Yeah. I mean, I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. Yeah, I think it's... You know, look, the power didn't seem to be there, does it? Like, you know, and it's not like he's stepping up levels, because the opponents are not really at that level. So, yeah, we haven't seen that power that maybe we saw, you know, in the fights previously.
Fair enough. I do want to talk about, obviously, the big heavyweight fight, Fury Usyk being called off. I think a lot of people were gutted, were devastated. It's been rescheduled for May the 18th. Spencer, I need to ask your opinion on this. There seems to be this narrative from some guys, obviously former fighters, saying that maybe that cut wasn't real, or the timeline was out of time. Well, what do you make of this sort of stuff?
Come on, man. Like, listen, one thing Fury isn't, he's not a coward, right? He's not a coward, mate. Like, and Fury, look, we all know the money that was on the table, and it's like a defining fight, a legacy fight about modern eras, the best fighting the best and whatnot. And it's not like Fury would not go into that fight. I think that he was getting himself in good shape. It was a legitimate cut, that is for sure, right? The shot landed. We've even heard his sparring partner talking about it. You know, the shot landed. I think the question mark is hanging over, was it an elbow that went through, or whether it was or whether it wasn't, the cut was there. That was evident to see. And yeah, so that's just one of those unfortunate things. The fight is now delayed. My concern is May the 18th, and I know they've put a £10 million penalty clause in there as well. So I do, you do worry about that a little bit, because I'm looking at that going, May the 18th, I've spoken to some good cut men, you know, and they're going, look, this is going to take more than 3 months to heal, as in, like, you know, cut like that, you know, because he's got to go through that whole training process, the sparring process and whatnot. So May the 18th for me seems a little soon, if I'm totally honest. I mean, fair play to him, they're getting it on, and we all want the undisputed fight. So please God, we get that. Fury comes through his training, the cut heels comes through his training, we get that undisputed fight, and then hopefully we get, you know, like the Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight. So we need to see for the modern era. Do you know what I mean? The best fighting the best and all that. So look, there's yeah, the cut is legit. That is for sure. And Egus calling Fury a coward and all that. Forget that shit. It's not. Do you know what I mean? That's crazy. Fury won't back away from anyone. Do you know what I mean? And that's where we're at.
I think just the emotions are probably high at that point, obviously, of hearing about the cut. I do want to ask you then, in that case, is this advantage Usyk? And secondly, do you think coming into that fight that he's gonna as a game plan target that eye to see if it reopens?
Of course, like Usyk is like, he peppers. He's not got like big power, but he's got stinging punches and snap, and they're the sort of shots that open cuts. Like that is going to be quite raw there, and it's going to be, you know, so that's why I know they put this date on there, and you go, wow, mate, that is soon, because that cut looked bad. Do you know what I mean? So that is very soon because of the scar tissue. So of course that's advantage Usyk, because he's going to have something to aim for. That's what they're going to be working towards. And for Fury, you know, he's got to go through that training camp, and you go, if we talk about it, what we're in February now, you're talking about a couple of months' time, you know what I mean, before they get in the ring. And you go, is that enough to, like, 3 months, is that enough time for him to have a proper camp? So, yeah, of course that's advantage Usyk because of that situation. But if you'd have taken that situation out of there, like I say, I don't know why he said it, I think that Fury would be too big, too clever, he'd know how to cut the ring and work Usyk out. Like, you know, Usyk's a great boxer, but I think the size would have played a massive part in that. Now we're looking at it and you're going, you know, this is like, yeah, it's a massive advantage to Usyk with what's happened to Tyson Fury, definitely.
A final one from myself. Carl Froch was part of the team for TalkSport on Saturday night. We've had John Fury come and call him out for a fight. Talk to me about this one.
Oh, mate, I love this. Like, you know what I mean? I've done a show with Simon yesterday, actually, and I was like, wow, John, please, mate, be careful what you wish for. You know what I mean? The Cobra's still in good shape, mate. You know what I mean? I get it, and I get the online stuff. John Fury's great at that, by the way. He's great at selling fights, and he's become a little star in his own right. In, you know, what he does, he's become a bit of a personality with what he does surrounding, you know, the Tyson Fury and whatnot. But don't call out Cole Froch, mate. Like, Froch is like, the Cobra's still an animal. Don't worry about that. And like, when he done, well, you just stoked the fire, mate. Like, Cole's like, yes, please, let's get it on. You know what I mean? Like, don't give Cole Froch a challenge, man. Yeah, John, don't go there, mate. That's all I'm saying.
Spencer, listen, it's always a pleasure getting hold of you. Getting hold of you is a bit harder nowadays. I know why. But we don't need to say why, but you become a rare breed in front of the camera.
There you go, mate. Yeah, let's leave it there.
Top man, I appreciate your time as always. Top man, thank you very much.